welcome to the 7th part of this epic Blu-ray update Odyssey for 2023. I'm out of breath. I mean, I'm out of shape, but I'm out of breath just holding up this stack of films for this update for the thumbnail. Thumbnail's a weird thing, you know, it's a real, artificial, augmented, you know, just like, it's just weird to do. I think if anyone had to film their thumbnail or take a picture of their thumbnail with people present, it would be incredibly embarrassing. But just trying to get this stack into frame was one thing. Trying to get a shot where I didn't look fat as fuck was another. And then just holding all these Blu-rays, I could feel the weight of all the plastic and the booklets and the cases and the everything, just like it was groaning and creaking like the hull of the Titanic. Like I'm like, holy shit, like this is a lot of stuff, and it's, you know, just holding it all in one stack I think might have been compromising the overall structure of everything within it. Anyway, there's 27 titles here. Some are box sets, some of them contain many films. In fact, I would say there's probably, I mean, let me just count the multi-movies while we're here looking at absolutely nothing but my face. So there's 27 titles, but there's 30, 32, 39. There's 41. There's another 2-pack. There's 4 packs. There's 40, 43, and then another 3 would be 46. There's almost 50 movies in this stack. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. So I have, I didn't even say what it was, but you know what it was. You clicked on the video, presumably, unless you're a family member of mine watching this in the year 2043 and thinking, God, he looks fat, doesn't he? What happened there? You know, oh well, I guess it doesn't really matter. You know, the air outside is toxic, and I'm sat inside watching these old YouTube videos, and wondering why the hell anyone would complain in the year 2023, considering all the stuff that's going on there. Anyway, we're talking about Hong Kong movies. This is the Hong Kong invasion, and we're going to settle in on this one. I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to really convey to you how much these films have completely kind of poured themselves into my bloodstream in 2023. I'm going to give you a rundown of my history with Hong Kong cinema, and then we're going to get into this massive stack of Blu-rays from 2 companies, only 2 companies really, 88 Films and Eureka. Now, I can actually reach off camera and grab for you a particularly notable film, but we'll wait for that just a second. I want to talk about the cinema of Hong Kong before we get into the Blu-rays and my relationship with it, as we are in the 7th part of this epic series. It's going to be a long one anyway, and I'm sure you can just skip through the video and find the good stuff when I start talking about holding up plastic cases and stuff and say, hey, this artwork's pretty cool. I have seen a lot of these though, which is pretty good for me. Anyway, my first experience with Hong Kong cinema would of course be Bruce Lee. I did just get the Bruce Lee at Golden Harvest Hour video box set, which should by all rights be included in this video, but I've already done a video talking about it in fairly in depth, and you can check that out, and there's the unboxing and everything, but that is of course included with this Hong Kong invasion to some degree. You know, part of me was getting that for the historical significance of Bruce Lee and his movies. Getting that kind of treatment was incredible, but also again, it's, you know, Golden Harvest, it's Hong Kong cinema, and I'm really, you know, tuned into that at the moment. So as a kid, it was Bruce Lee. It was Way of the Dragon. That was the one my dad gave me on video. Watched it a lot, not to death, but I watched it quite a few times, and that to me was Bruce Lee. Had no concept of that being a Hong Kong movie. To me, it was just Chinese, right? I had there's no separation there as a kid or whatever. But moving beyond that, there really wasn't anything I can think of off the top of my head that I really watched, even as an adult, until it came to the Jackie Chan stuff. I was introduced to Jackie Chan through things like Rush Hour, Shanghai Noon, and movies like that. And, you know, he's just like, for me, it was like the lovable face. Like, he was just kind of a likable looking guy, and he did crazy stuff in some of these American movies. But when I was maybe in my early 20s, I watched things like Police Story, Drunken Master. I think some of those early reviews, more first impressions are on my channel, like from back in 2011 when me and Connie were watching some early Jackie Chan stuff. Police Story was one of them. Friend of mine really liked Jackie Chan too, and so that spurred me on to watch some of his films. But I never did any really deep diving beyond that. And I think it was in 2017, maybe 16, that I watched Project A Part 2, which was in the book, 1,000 Movies You Must See Before You Die. And I just was blown away by this action film. I thought it was absolutely incredible. My first introduction to Sammo Hung, who just seemed to defy all physical expectations. Like, I just thought, this guy's incredible. You know, like, I knew Jackie Chan was great, but this guy, holy shit. And then there was another film in the book, 1,000 Movies You Must See Before You Die. And for some reason, I just gravitated towards giving it a go, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And I have a Blu-ray set over here. It's not a legit. It's one of those awful Korean releases where it's on Blu-ray, but it's actually just upscales. They're standard definition upscales. They look alright, you know, it's better than nothing, but it was the first film in this box set, which is the Chinese Ghost Story release from Nova Media, which has all three of the films. And the first one is just, I think, still now one of my all-time favorite films. It'll be tough to get this out of the box set. I can hopefully manage it. There we go. And it just had a little bit of everything. And it was just, it was the horror, it was the fantasy, it was the romance, it was the supernatural, it was the action, it was the comedy. I just never seen anything like this before. And the creativity and the imagination on show in this film was just unparalleled. I'd never seen anything like it. Yeah, some of it reminded me of Evil Dead or whatever, you know, but there was, and yeah, I've seen wire fighting before, but like, there was just something really unique about this. And I kind of figured this was a one-off, unique thing. Didn't really look too much further beyond that, except for getting the trilogy box set. Eventually watching, you know, 2 and 3, which are really, really good. I really love the whole trilogy, and I wish one day someone would release them in full, you know, high definition. I think a Eureka release, or any company really releasing a Chinese Ghost Story, the whole trilogy, but the first one's the golden one for me. Ironically, apparently there's a company called Golden Princess who just don't operate or move in the world of movies anymore, so they just vault them. That's what I've heard, which seems a shame. I know I've seen like a restored 2K restoration trailer or something on like a Fortune Star YouTube channel. I don't know. I'm not really that familiar with all the companies and all the ins and outs and stuff, but Chinese Ghost Story for me is one of my all-time favorite films, and that really clued me into like, okay, Hong Kong cinema that's not Jackie Chan, right? But then after that, I did a whole Jackie Chan deep dive, and it stemmed from Project A and Eureka releasing, and I actually can show you these. These two box sets really kickstarted my love of Jackie Chan proper. It was the Police Story 1 and 2 box set from Eureka, which came out, I think, in 2018. And then they released a similar box set with Project A and Project A Part 2. So, you know, these two box sets are just incredible. And were really, I think, Eureka's first diving in point to releasing stuff like this, like proper martial arts releases. And so from there, they started releasing more Jackie Chan stuff. And then I was just really just going all in on Jackie Chan. And then again, I kind of fell into that trap of like, okay, well, these films are amazing. The action is incredible. But obviously, this is Jackie Chan. It's all his discipline and all that kind of stuff, right? So I kind of assumed that if it's not Jackie Chan, there's not much point really, you know, delving further. I then bought his book, which I got signed. I got like a signed copy of his biography, which is a very interesting read, very honest. You know, he doesn't paint himself out to be a saint, and I'd love to read that again now, knowing all the names that I know. Like I knew Sammo Hung and Yuan Biu had kind of entered my sphere of knowledge as well, and I thought that he was just, you know, I think the first thing I saw Yuan Biu in was Wheels on Meals. And I just thought, who's this geek, you know? He just turned out to be this absolute, like, master martial artist. Like, anyway, so, yeah, it's like the Three Dragons and everything, and I'm kind of in that. But then, you know, it slides, and I get interested in other things. Then Eureka, in 2022, they announced they're putting out some Michelle Yeoh films. Now, 2022, Michelle Yeoh starred in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Loved that film. And I've always liked her, but I'd never really seen a lot of her, you know. And I just thought, man, she's so great. I'd like to see some of her earlier stuff. And this coincided with me deciding to essentially cover Eureka's releases full time, to kind of review everything as it came out. Although I'm always kind of late on getting the reviews up, but that's because I put a lot of time into them, and I don't have much of that. So Eureka started releasing stuff like Yes Madam, Magnificent Warriors, and then I'm just following along with everything, and then it just exploded this year in 2023. I've been watching a lot of Hong Kong films, and I've been collecting a lot of the 88 films releases of Jackie Chan's films, and I did a count, and with all of this stuff in this stack, I now have, I think, over 110 Hong Kong movies on Blu-ray. The Shore Scope set kind of deals with a lot of those, but there's a lot in this stack here as well, almost 50 movies, and I've seen a fair few of them. So, should we get into it? Let's get into it. We'll do the 88 films stack first. This is a really new release, actually. Not much of an order to these, but we have God of Gamblers. So this came out fairly recently, and it has a nice slipcover. They call it like a double-walled slipcover, so it's kind of like a reinforced slipcover. Who does the artwork on this one? I don't know, but it looks like a Sean Longmore piece. Yes, it is. Sean Longmore, I really like his stuff. I bought his Twin Peaks posters a few years ago. He's doing a lot of stuff for these releases now. So this is about like, God of Gamblers. It's about, Chow Yun-fat plays a guy who's like a whiz playing cards. And he gets into an accident and then becomes essentially like brain damaged, but he still retains the, and then Andy Lau, I think, is a guy who, he's a hustler who takes advantage of that. And it sounds very un-PC, I think. And Joey Wong, who, Chinese Ghost Story, she's just, I love seeing her on screen. Anything she's in, I'd love to see. So, there's the fact that she's attractive. I think she just also has this real screen presence. There's some people just have it, some people don't. And she really does. Chow Yun-fat does. Andy Lau does. So those three together in a movie is something that I'm really interested in checking out. I know this spawned a series of films, but anyway, this is kind of the recent, one of the recent releases from 88 Films. This one I grabbed in FOP, I think maybe a year ago, something like that. This is directed by Corey Yuen, who I've seen a few of his films. And so Yuen Biu stars in this one. Yuen Wah as well, who I've only just become vaguely aware of. But Yuen Biu is a guy who I really, really like. And so this is a remake from The Boxer from Shantung. And this film is called Hero. So I saw this in FOP, £10 with a nice slipcover. Really nice artwork on the front. And this one's from Kung Fu Bob, the artwork. See, I'll be talking about the artwork more than the actual movies. Didn't read the plot. It's just one of those things. And, the collecting instinct in you, you gravitate towards these things when they're on offer. It has to be said. And then in the case of these two releases, this is just to top up the Jackie Chan collection. I have held off on so many Jackie Chan releases now that I have enough to do a 24-hour movie marathon, which I want to do. I did a series within a series. If you watch my videos, I do series, but I did Asian Cinema Season in 2017, loads of videos throughout, I think, 5 or 6 week period. And then I did a sequel, Asian Cinema Season 2 in 2019, and within that was a series called Project Jackie. I think it was about 15, 16, 17 reviews of his movies. So I want to do 24-hour movie marathon Project Jackie and kind of go into all the ones of his I haven't seen, because some of the big heavy hitters that I haven't got around to yet. These ones seem like very minor fare, but I grabbed them nevertheless as they came out. As such, I know nothing really about the plot or anything. We have Half a Loaf of Kung Fu. And with some of these earlier ones, I'm not under the impression that he's even the leading star of these movies. It might be a mixed bag in that sense. So this one's from 1978, and this one is The Killer Meteors, which stars Jimmy Wang Yu, who I'm starting to hear more and more about. So Lo Wei directs that. That's a name I have heard. 1976, The Killer Meteors, Jackie Chan. This one is absolutely gorgeous. This is a new release. This is the newest one in this video, in fact. Newer even than the Bruce Lee set. I adore this slipcover. It's another one of their double-walled But it has like a kind of matte finish to it. It's one of the nicest slipcovers I've ever seen. The movie I really want to see, don't get me wrong, but this is Magic Cop. This is, I mean, Sean Longmore again with the artwork. It's a gorgeous piece there. But the texturing on this thing is absolutely gorgeous. Like, I feel like I'd rebuy every movie in my collection if they all came with like uniform kind of beautiful artwork releases in these, and it's in a slim case as well. So it's, you know, saves space on the shelf. Has a nice thin black case as well. There's just something, it's a super slick release. But Magic Cop is essentially, from what I understand, a kind of modern version of Mr. Vampire. And I've been getting into those films, and we'll get to those in due course somewhere down the line in this very long video. But yeah, I've been really loving the Mr. Vampire movies, and it stars Lam Ching Ying, who plays a similar character in all of those, well, most of those movies, as a kind of a Taoist priest who is trained in the arts of taking down hopping vampires. And I believe this one is basically just a modern version, Magic Cop, you know. I don't know if it's vampires per se, but this one's supposed to be very good. People have been saying it's a very good film, directed by Stephen Tung, and from 1990. I do believe from the cover here, this does look like, oh, what's her name? I've forgotten her name. That's a shame. I really like her in The Line of Duty 3. I think it is the Japanese actress, Michiko Nishiwaki, something like that. I don't want to get it wrong. Anyway, it looks like that she's in it, and she's great. But Magic Cop, this is high on my list to get to very soon. I can't wait to check this one out. Now, here's an interesting one. I showed this in an update, in my birthday update. It's The Seventh Curse, and I watched it. And I watched it in my latest 24-hour movie marathon. So I'm going to keep quiet and say absolutely nothing about it. Now, I'll give you a few details, but you're going to be waiting years for that that movie marathon. I haven't released Movie Marathon 8 yet, and I watched this the other day as part of Movie Marathon 12. So, you know, only 5 marathons behind. The Seventh Curse. This was directed by Lam Choi. I hate that. I hate that when it's not immediately obvious to me how to pronounce it. I like to try and get it right, and I often fail, and I sometimes get criticism for it, and I hate that because at least I try. Anyway, Lam Choi directs The Seventh Curse. It's a great cast of, like Maggie Cheung, Chow Yun-fat, who's not really in it that much. And see, again, the lead actor I really like, Chin Soo-ho. He plays this guy who is he's a doctor, and he goes to the jungle. I think where is it? Is it in Thailand? Yes, he goes to the jungle in Thailand, and he intervenes in this ritual that these kind of local, the indigenous tribe are doing this ritual sacrifice. And he intervenes in this and is given a blood curse, and he just barely survives it. And a year later, he's now living it up and enjoying the high life in the city. And then the curse returns, and he gets interrupted by Dick Wei, who's like, "You must come back." And I usually see Dick Wei in these kind of like henchman roles. It's kind of fun to see him in kind of like a Rambo-esque action hero type. And he tells Chin Soo-ho, "You got to come back to the jungle, and we've got to finish this thing once and for all." So it's like this kind of horror movie. There's a bit of Indiana Jones in there. There's a bit of Alien in there. There's a bit of there's some interesting horror stuff going on in this film. Anyway, so when I showed this in my Blu-ray update, I said that this had a nice, fancy special edition release from 88 Films, but I missed out on it, and I'm trying to let go of that and just this was like $7.50. In an offer at HMV, two for £15, and I'll leave that stumble in for free. And I just thought, well, it's the movie that counts, right? So I just got this, watched it, enjoyed it, loved it, and then promptly went on eBay, got the special edition version. So quite a nice upgrade from this, I found it for a good price. That was the key. And it was in perfect condition as well, used, but absolutely. And it's just that artwork again by Sean Longmore, which is just gorgeous. It looks so much better on a nice kind of matte finish box than it does on kind of a, just a regular old rattly disc case. The booklet in this is phenomenal. It's a 100-page book or 80-page book. 80-page, but it's a stunning booklet. There's a big poster in there, which came in handy for when Connie did the drawing for this on our kind of board that we have every year for the movie marathon. But I'm so happy that I got this limited edition for a good price. And the extras on this, there is an interview with Chin Suho, and I thought, oh, that's cool. I clicked on it. It's over 2 fucking hours long. It looks like kind of a YouTube interview kind of setup, but I just thought, that's what an amazing extra, an amazing kind of resource. There's a couple of audio commentaries on here. The film looked great, and just I loved it obviously because I grabbed the limited edition, but I'm so happy to have this. And there's some kind of imperfections on the top and stuff. It's not in perfect condition, but it looks great, like it really does, and I love the film. It was just bonkers. It was absolutely bonkers. Connie was really reticent about watching it, and I said to her, like, if anything, I can promise you, you won't be bored, which she wasn't. And there was a couple of points in this film where my jaw dropped, and I was like that. And for about a full minute, I was just like, and this is me on my own. I'm not trying to I'm not goofing off for anyone. Connie wasn't looking at me, and then I kind of zoned out, and I just went like that, and she went, "You falling asleep?" I was like, "No, I just can't believe what I just witnessed," So, and that's the thing. These movies, they have this crazy level of creativity, and the practical effects, especially with the horror stuff, but even the optical effects that they do are really cool, and just just 80s movie, 1986. I think this came out same year as Aliens. I feel like the 80s Hong Kong stuff for me is golden. I'm never disappointed. Next up, we're going to get to the Inland Line of Duty movies later on in this feature-length presentation. And I love them. I love the Inland Line of Duty movies, particularly the fourth one. We'll get to that. And I think, I don't know the guy's name, but he runs the channel Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society, I think. And I commented on his review of Inland Line of Duty 4, and I said I loved it. It's directed by Yuen Woo-ping, and he said if you like that, you should definitely check out the Tiger Cage movies. So I looked online. There was an 88 films release of these Tiger Cage trilogy of movies, and it was like a standard release. And I was like, oh, it'd be nice to get the box set, But HMV had, I guess, a few copies left, and it was kind of out of print. But I ordered it from HMV, and I got it, and there was a little bit of a dent on it, but again, whatever. But this is, again, I think Sean Longmore did the artwork on this one. I might get that wrong. It looks like Sean Longmore stuff, but Tiger Cage 1 to 3. So I think Yuen Woo-ping directed all of these. We have Donnie Yen. A lot of familiar faces for me now on the, and if that wasn't gorgeous enough on the front, you get this beautiful back piece as well. And I am aware I'm talking about the artwork, but I think that it really adds a lot to these releases and makes them feel really special. And this one has an 80-page book in it as well. We get the 3 movies on the inside. I did see a few clips from these on Twitter, and some of the stunts look absolutely ridiculous. There's one shot of a guy who falls off of this balcony or something, hits like a roof, and then falls into the harbor. It's mental. So we have Tiger Cage, the first one, and this one is. It doesn't say on the back, so I would have liked to have known the director and stuff. These are from 1988. 1990 and 1991. I'm pretty sure Yuen Woo-ping directed all of these. But either way, there's commentaries on these, interviews. Cynthia Khan, who I love. Can't wait to see her in another movie. So there's Tiger Cage 2 there. Again, individual artwork. There's even great artwork pieces on the backs of all of these as well. Michael Wong, who I really like as well, is at least in this one. So a lot of familiar faces from stuff I've been watching already. I think these even have, or one of them felt like it had something inside it. Yep, there's even a poster, so it's a really nice release. And I'm looking forward to diving into these. And a lot of them are 80, 90 minutes as well, so you can really just, for someone, again, whose time is limited, these are kind of really exciting when you look at the running times. And there's so much stuff. So these were all on offer on Amazon maybe 6 months ago or something. And I kind of just went all in on it with, I think, Christmas money. So On the Run, this is a deluxe release. The next 3 are all kind of hard box nice special edition releases with like 80-page booklets and posters. So again, I go with like the artwork. It's obviously, again, not the big selling point, but as a collector, I do really love, like, I just think this is a really cool piece. Not my favorite in the world, but Kung Fu Bob O'Brien did this one. 2K restoration, multiple audio commentaries, alternate ending. And what sold me on this was Yuen Biu, who's in a starring role. I've never really seen that. I want to see how his chops hold up to kind of it feels like a moody kind of thriller more than an all-out action film, and that intrigues me as well. So that's something that drew me in 1988 as well. And then the next one is a big one. A lot of people talk about this one. This is a Shong Lawnmower piece. No, a Sean Longmore piece. This is absolutely packed to the gills with extras, I have to say. 1986, it's Righting Wrongs. Cynthia Rothrock, Yuen Biu. That's a pretty badass combination right there. Corey Yuen directing this one as well. Any other names that I recognize in the cast? Wu Ma, love you, love Wu Ma. That's about it. Barry Wong, who did the screenplay. I like Barry Wong's movies that he wrote. See, I'm getting into writers now. How like deep brained am I getting into these films now? Not that much. Again, I'm absolutely no expert at all, but this one gets a lot of talk. Okay, so there's 3 different feature-length presentations of the film. I'll just show you the artwork because I read this off, so there's something a bit more interesting to look at. The Hong Kong cut, the alternate Singapore cut, and the English-friendly Above the Law cut. Plus a newly produced Ultimate Cut, a version of the film prepared exclusively for this release that combines footage from the Hong Kong and Singapore cuts to present a hypothetical complete version with 4 possible endings. I remember reading about this. Did Brandon Bentley work on this? Like, it's a seamless branching, like, you get like a randomizer of what ending that you get. I mean, just, what the fuck? Like, commentaries, there's the 2K remaster, there's 2 discs on this. I mean, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. Can't wait to get into that one. Another book, poster, and then this one, it's another gorgeous piece of artwork, I can't lie. Yuen Biu, Maggie Cheung, Yuen Wah. It is Iceman Cometh. So across the centuries, the war between good and evil can never end. So from 16th century Ming god Fong, Yuen Biu sets out to capture a vicious rapist. Both men end up falling into a glacier to be frozen in time and thawed out by scientists over 300 years later. And then you get a shot, I believe, of both of them there. It just sounds goofy, it sounds fun, and I'm sure it's not an ice-themed movie, but go with me on this. I love ice stuff. I don't know why. Video games, I love the ice levels. I love the look of ice. It's just cool. So when I see something like this that has kind of the blue effect, I'm like, ooh, but I did look deeper into it, obviously, beyond the artwork. And 2K restoration, 2 discs on this, Taiwanese version, Hong Kong version, commentaries, all sorts of stuff on here. So Tony Raines on the Iceman Cometh. So it sounds like a goofy premise with some actors that I really like, and is from 1989. So again, another Hong Kong action movie from the 80s. I'm all in. So that was the 88 film section. I thought I could do this in half an hour. How the hell did I even fathom that would be possible? Let me move some snacks over. We'll stacks, not snacks. We'll move the stack onto the floor, and I'll heave over the next, and we'll continue with this thing. Now I got this one, and this is now we're moving into the Eureka section, which is sizable. I haven't shown this officially in an update video, but I have shown it in some video, and it's the Eureka release of the Police Story trilogy. So I showed you the 2-pack of the first 2 movies. This is now the full trilogy, and it's a 4K release. So we have Police Story 2, and Police Story 3 Super Cop, I think it's called, with what looks to be an 80-page booklet. Now I will say, I haven't dived into this at all yet. I grabbed it because I knew that it would sell out at some point, and I wanted to get it. No artwork on the back, which is kind of typical for Eureka box sets, but a little bit disappointing. But the covers, I kind of agree with the criticism. They're pretty bland. They kind of look almost bootleg, kind of their cheapness. Police Story 2. I mean, I'm all for original posters and stuff, but they don't feel right to me. This one I actually cut because it was too big, and it was all wrinkled and stuff. So I trimmed off a bit of the inlay there. Police Story 3 Super Cop. I haven't seen this one. I'm saving it for my Jackie Chan marathon down the line. But to get these films in 4K that's an incredible thing for me as a fan. Look at the extras on this. Absolutely ridiculously, packed. So while I have some qualms about the physical presentation, what seems to be on the discs are pretty great, and there's even stuff that I believe are not on the original box set. So you get tons of stuff here, and definitely films I'm looking forward to revisiting, and then in case of the third movie, watching for the first time. Lovely thick 80-page booklet there as well. And I love the artwork on the front. I think there was some, not controversy, but they had said there was going to be new artwork on the individual films, but there just wasn't, and they never talked about it again. But this is a Kung Fu Bob piece. I think it's just a really cool piece of artwork. Really, really nice. So Jackie Chan, Police Story, 4K box set, pretty cool. This one I wasn't sold on in terms of just the price. So I was settled with passing on this one. But what Eureka have now done, which I think is really good, is they now announce when stuff is low in stock. They used to be against this for years, and they even said publicly they didn't want to kind of drive people to kind of buy up stock and then sell it off and stuff at an inflated price. They wanted to discourage that, so they didn't really tell anyone when their stuff was going out of print. Now they do it. And they have a section on their website saying low in stock or low in print or whatever, and they even reduce them, which is a pretty cool thing to do. I have to say, and in this case, they reduced this by a significant amount. Given the amount of movies on this, which is 8 films altogether, I did grab this one. It is Cinematic Vengeance. Now on their website, they say these films are from Taiwan. Joseph Kyo. We'll just leave it there. I won't try any other pronunciations. But it says Taiwan and Hong Kong. I believe these are Hong Kong movies. I looked online, it said Hong Kong martial arts film. But I guess there may be a blend, I don't know exactly. But I'm including it in this regardless. So we have the 7 Grandmasters, the 36 Deadly Styles, the World of Drunken Master, the Old Master, Shaolin Kung Fu, the Shaolin Kids, 18 Bronzemen, and the Return of 18 Bronzemen. There are commentaries, I think, on every film. And there's some kind of alternate version of one of the movies, I think. A Hong Kong reconstruction of 18 Bronzemen. So, yeah, it's. I think there's a small booklet there. There's some lobby cards. And I think that there are 4 discs in total, so 2 movies per disc, I think. But yeah, it's the artwork, when you look at close up, isn't phenomenal. And I do believe that these are kind of like lower fare in terms of like, Kung Fu classics. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But definitely one to dig into at some point, and I'm glad that I got it. And I just feel like at this point, I kind of want to get every Hong Kong release that Eureka's put out, which would be difficult given that some of them are kind of woefully out of print at this point. Speaking of out of print, this one was going low, and I've almost bought this like about 15 times. And I was so glad that I waited because it dropped in price to the point where I was really happy with what I paid for it. And this may still be available, it might not. This is Angela Mao, 2 films, Hapkido and Lady Whirlwind. Now this, I actually talked about in my very first Eureka announcements video when I started doing those back in 2022. Sammo Hung appears in one or more of these. I don't know which is the case. What really drew me to this, in terms of, one, it's kind of, it feels like a bit of an anomaly in terms of like these are from 1972, directed by Huang Feng, and you have a woman in the lead role, Angela Mao. That's it's usually fairly male dominated, these old movies, especially back in the 70s, I would say. And so I'm intrigued to see. It says that Hapkido was a huge hit in the West, and but what really drew me, there's like 5 commentaries on this, I think. It's ridiculous. Each film has 2 commentaries, and one of them has 3. Or I should say one has 2, one has 3, as far as I'm aware, if I remember right. Let me just double check that. So Lady Whirlwind, 3 brand new feature-length audio commentary tracks, and then 2 for Hapkido. But there's also a brand new interview with Angela Mao herself, which I find really interesting. This is actually a thicker release than normal, because there's a poster on the inside of the slipcover. I don't like it when they do that as such, because then you need to keep the poster inside. So not that I would use it, because I don't really tend to do that, but it's extra kind of tats to kind of wrangle with. But very glad to have got this one before it went out of print at a reduced price. So the Angela Mao double bill. I didn't really plan this way, but this is another one that was on the going low in stock section a month or 2 ago. This is a double feature, Wing Chun Classics. So 2 films by Sammo Hung. We have Warriors 2 and The Prodigal Son. I think Yuen Biu is in one of these. Yes, Yuen Biu and Sammo Hung in The Prodigal Son, and Casanova Wong and Sammo Hung in Warriors 2. So commentaries on this one, as you would expect, 1978, 1981, featurette, archival interviews with Sammo, Yuen Biu, Frankie Chan. So this looks fairly stacked. Also has the poster, thicker slipcover to accommodate a poster on the inside there. Very cool. I have seen some of these, trust me. Once I get down to the stack, there's a lot that I've seen. This one I've wanted to get for years. It's just all been playing the waiting game. I'm lucky this one still exists. And there's an interesting trio of movies, 3 films with Sammo Hung. We have The Iron-Fisted Monk, The Magnificent Butcher, and Eastern Condors. From kind of different periods. One's 77, 79, and then one from 87. Eastern Condors, I think, is the one that everyone tends to kind of talk about a lot. And this one is loaded with special features. I think all 3 films appear across 2 discs. But you can even see on the front there's 3 very different versions of Sammo, really, or at least in the middle. I know that Eastern Condors, he lost weight for that film, and it's kind of like a kind of, is it a Vietnam War film? Eastern Condors, tribute to the Dirty Dozen, Vietnam, yeah. Numerous references to films like Deer Hunter and Rambo 2, yeah, action masterpiece. That's definitely one I'm really excited to get to. But I love Sammo Hung. I love his comedy. I love his fighting. I think that he's a really interesting character. And if Sammo's there, I'm in. Now we get to some of the more recent releases. Rich and Famous, Tragic Hero, double pack. This is kind of like a Godfather inspired saga, a crime story told over 2 movies. Not quite as epic in length as The Godfather or anything like that, and surely not as good. They really are 2 of the best films ever made. But 2 films by Taylor Wong, starring Chow Yun-fat, Andy Lau. Really like those actors. And I'll be covering this soon on the channel once I kind of get through all the extras and stuff. And you get kind of 2 covers, 1 for each film on the inside there on the inlay. So Rich and Famous and Tragic Hero. I have heard that they released the sequel first because it had more action. So are we talking about a film and its sequel, or a film and its prequel? I don't know. I don't know which one you technically call the first film, but I suppose the story order. Next we have, and they did quite a few of these maybe a year or 2 ago, but all have like the similar style, and I want to get them all, but they're out of print. In terms of the slipcovers, I should add, there's like Dreadnought. There's a few of them. There's quite a few, and they're in this style. This one I managed to get as it was again going out of print, I think. This one is the Shaolin Plot. So I like the style of these. Very, very nice slipcover. 1977, another film by Huang Feng. Commentary, 2 commentaries on this one, as you kind of grow to expect with these things. But this one, Sammo Hung's in it. I don't think he's a leading part of the film, but at this point, I am kind of grabbing them on the just the fact that they're from Hong Kong, and I just want to really immerse myself, and it's just exciting for me. It's exciting for me. I've fallen in love with these movies. I like the actors. I like the creativity. You know, I don't expect great movies. I don't expect classics. I don't expect like airtight scripts. I just expect entertainment. And it's kind of fun to just enjoy that, you know. Now, this one's more of a modern film by Ringo Lam. This one was also going out of print with the slipcover version from 1997. Stars Lau Ching Wan, who I really like. I like him in the Running Out of Time movies. I think I've seen him in something else as well. This is Full Alert, so a nice slipcover there. So this is a kind of crime, kind of an action crime movie. It says a cops and robbers tale presented in the director's inimitable style. So, oh wow, it says with heart-stopping car chases on the streets of Hong Kong, but they spelt car chases, or at least the word chases, CHASRS. How unfortunate. Let's see if we can get that on the a good old-fashioned typo. Where is it now? I don't remember where it is. Car chasers. It's Sean Connery pronouncing car chasers. Car chasers. With heart-stopping car chasers on the streets of Hong Kong. It's a terrible Sean Connery. I apologize. Right, now. Now we get to some girls with guns stuff. Kind of. This one I absolutely loved. In fact, everything from here on out I've seen. So I have some thoughts. And maybe I'll string this out so it'll definitely be an hour long, just to make it nice and epic. Magnificent Warriors, Michelle Yeoh, directed by David Chung. This is an incredible film. Great extras, great commentaries, a nice interview with Michelle on the disc as well. But the film itself introduced me to Richard Ng, who I really like. Michelle Yeoh stars as this woman. This is set during like World War II. And what was it? I forget the term. The second Sino-Japanese War. And so she, I think it's set in Tibet, or at least Tibet-ish. And she goes in, and this is an elaborate plot, but it's this kind of Indiana Jones-ish. They say that it might. Let's see if it says on the back, because they kind of inspired by the success of Indiana Jones. But it's not quite that either. But the action is incredible. The fight scenes are just, you know, Michelle Yeoh is just firing on all cylinders in this film. But there's really good comedy. There's really good it's a good adventure movie as well. There's infiltration, and there's like, you know, sneaking in, sneaking out. There's a big, massive fight in this city in like, it's like in the middle of nowhere, and you have this like walled in city, and you know, there's cars on fire. Like, it's just awesome. It's super fun. The score's rousing and repetitive, but I really like it. And I've done a full review on this one where I gush about it in much detail. But I absolutely love Magnificent Warriors. This was just such a fun movie. Really, really good stuff. Now we have films I've talked about extensively. I feel like I don't really need to go into them that much because I've done not only 4 separate reviews on each of them, but I also did a ranking video talking about all 4 of them and giving my kind of thoughts on which ones I prefer. But we have the beautiful releases that came out, I think towards the end of last year, the beginning of this year, of the In the Line of Duty movies, the first 4 in the series at least. So we have Yes Madam, which is the first one, Royal Warriors, In the Line of Duty 3, and In the Line of Duty 4, or if you want to go by loose translations of their Cantonese titles, 3 and 4 would be, I think, Royal Policewoman, The Male and Female Thieves, and then In the Line of Duty 4 is Witness. I like the term Witness. It kind of sums up the story. Let's just, you know, we'll go through them a little bit here, and I'll give you my brief for anyone who may be unfamiliar at this point. Yes Madam, directed by Cora Yoon from 1985. This is first film for Cynthia Rothrock, who joins Michelle Yeoh to take down the bad guys. We don't need to go into too much plot details here. It's a good film. A lot of comedy in it. We have these 3 characters played by, see if I remember, Choi Hak, Mang Hoi, and John Shem. And these 3 guys are kind of the lead characters, really. And Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock just turn up every 10 to 15 minutes and kick ass, which I'm not complaining about. Got Dick Way again there on the cover. And the final 10 minutes of this is one of the best action set pieces I've ever seen in my life. The last 10 minutes of this movie knocks the socks out of almost any other fight scene you'll see. It's just incredible. You got Cynthia doing amazing stuff. You got Michelle doing amazing stuff. You got the stuntmen, and we really should appreciate the stuntmen doing absolutely batshit crazy stuff. It's amazing, and great extras. A fantastic selection of extras on here. You know, there's different versions of the film, multiple commentaries. Cynthia Rothrock is on here talking about the movie, so it's absolutely loaded. Gorgeous slipcover. You got some original artwork on the front as well, which is always nice. Yeah, this is just a phenomenal release. You know, the film itself, you know, maybe the characters don't get really fleshed out too much, and your leading ladies don't get too much of the story that kind of gets shifted over to those three kind of comedy leads, but it's brilliant. It really is brilliant. Now, the sequel, just a whole other dimension. I don't think anything in the sequel, Royal Warriors, I should say. I remember having trouble saying that. Royal Warriors. I don't think anything in this film reaches the heights of the final 10 minutes of Yes, Madam, but I do think that top to bottom, this is one of the best action films ever made. There's just so much variety. There's car chases, there's like shootouts, hand-to-hand combat, there's a fucking tank at the end. Like, Michelle is amazing in it. There's a lot of like revenge in there. There's more of a story in there to really dig into. This, for me, I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was phenomenal. Another great release with I think 2 commentaries and some great special features. Michael Wong stars in this one, and also Hiroyuki Sanada. So again, I've gone into these in detail, but just very briefly, I just think it's one of the best action films I've ever seen. It just works on every level. Like, it just really, really works. Phenomenal film. And I just thought it doesn't get any better than that. And for the next film, it didn't, but this is still a really top-notch action film. This is In the Line of Duty 3, Cynthia Khan. She stepped in when Michelle Yeoh essentially stepped away from the acting industry. So Royal Warriors was directed by David Chung, also did Magnificent Warriors. And this one is directed by Arthur Wong and Brandy Yoon. So Cynthia Khan essentially steps in to be the Michelle Yeoh character. And we have the male and female thieves here, who does it have their names on the back? It doesn't. Ah, yes, Michiko Nishiwaki. I was not far off. I think she's in Magic Cop. I'm looking forward to seeing if that's right. Stuart Ong plays the other thief, the male thief. So these Japanese thieves come in to Hong Kong, and Cynthia Khan is tasked with taking them down. She teams up with a Japanese police officer who has a lot on his mind. He had a partner who was killed by these thieves, and so he's really driven by vengeance. And this is a really brutal. This is the most the bloodiest brutal film of the 4, I think. But Cynthia Khan, I really like her. She gets a little bit of flack in some of the special features for being, well, she's not Michelle Yeoh, and she isn't. But I really like her too. She's just she's awesome. Another stacked release with commentaries and the like. And one of these has a really good locations feature as well, which I really enjoyed. I think that's on the Royal Warriors release. So, you know, you're getting like really nicely produced new extras for these releases that I think really make them super special. Like, it's just been an education for me, as well as watching films that I'm really enjoying and just being blown away by. Yeah, I think it's on is it on the Royal Warriors release? Yeah, the new locations featurette by Arne Venema and Mike Leader is on this one, and it's really, really good. It goes into locations from this one and Yes, Madam. And then the 4th one, I'd heard was the best one. And after the Royal Warriors, I was like, I'm not holding my hopes up for a film being as good as that, but holy shit. In the Line of Duty 4, Witness, it's up there with Royal War. I'll leave that in for free. I just can't get my vocal palate, which isn't a term. I've invented that. That's incorrect biologically speaking. I can't get my tongue around just the phrase Royal Warriors. Anyway, this is up there with the film Royal Warriors as one of the best action films I've ever seen. Top to bottom, amazing stunts. You know, again, variety. You know, there's a motorbike chase on this. It's absolutely nuts. We've got Cynthia Khan, who's just, she takes a beating in this film. Like, the whole phrase, like, pain is temporary, film is forever. Like, either they were beating that into her as they were making the film, or she was all up for it, because there's multiple shots in this film where she gets kicked in the face, full force. It's nuts. But she's a great action lead. She's more of a lead than I feel like she finds her footing more than in the previous movie. Donnie Yen comes in. They've got great chemistry together as these two cops who do not enjoy working together. And then there's this guy who is a witness to something, and he gets dragged through the dirt. He gets arrested, and they're trying to protect this guy. They're also trying to take down the bad guys. Part of it is set in Seattle. Part of it is set in Hong Kong. Michael Wong is in this. This is one of the more interesting characters in the film. This guy here is awesome. He's in one of the final fights on a rooftop next to the airport while the planes are like taking off and landing. Donnie Yen is just nuts. And also this is directed by Yuen Woo-ping, 1989. I love the use of slow motion in this. There's some really great jumping kicks in super slow motion that I just love watching. Yuen Woo-ping really knows how to shoot action in slow motion, but there's lots of variety. So many different kinds of action scenes and fight scenes and comedy. Like, there's so much wrapped up into this. I do think it is one of the best action films I've ever seen. And once again, I think there's 3 commentaries on this one. I enjoyed all of them. Some archival interviews with Donnie Yen, who's an interesting character. But yeah, In the Line of Duty 4, what a film, what a release. Definitely one of my new favorite films, I would say. And I even didn't talk about the ambulance sequence, which is just outrageous. Like, there's a scene in the film where our heroes are on an ambulance and it gets ambushed, and like, I can't even believe some of the stuff they did in that. And yeah, they talk in the commentary like, well, there's a lot of doubles, but even the doubles, they're risking that. Like, there's just some nut stuff in that. It's a crazy film. We're almost at the end now. We've got another girls with guns type movie. This is Lady Reporter, aka Blonde Fury. People get very upset if you don't use Blonde Fury for some reason. Cynthia Rothrock in a leading role. This is pretty notable as the first time a kind of Western woman was the leading top billed star in a Hong Kong movie. 1989, directed by Mang Hoi and Corey Yuen. I believe it was Corey Yuen. Did I get that wrong? I don't know. But Mang Hoi made this film, and then they shelved it and brought in another director to just change it, which is where this Blu-ray is fascinating, because you get a lot of different insights from people who are in the movie, from the guy who made the movie initially. There's a brand new interview. There's new commentary. There's also Cynthia's on this release doing a video piece kind of discussing her involvement in the film and everything. I think there's even 2 versions of the movie, perhaps. He has an export cut as well. So, stacked release, but I loved all the stuff about the making of. And there's a great moment in the Mang Hoi interview where he's kind of skirting around the fact that they took the movie away from him and reshot some stuff with, well, not reshot, but added stuff with another director. But when he's kind of asked outright about it, he's like, oh, okay, let's talk about it then. He just dishes all the dirt, and it's just fascinating. And then on the inside, it's the same cover, which kind of really annoys some people. Me, not so much, especially when this artwork is so cool. I love just the colors on this one. It's really, really striking. Anyway, Lady Reporter. 3 more to go. But more movies than 3. Anyway, Ringo Lam, Burning Paradise. This was an awesome, dark, wuxia epic. Got a number of characters who go to this Red Lotus Temple, which is this labyrinth of just hell. And the majority of the movie takes place in this underground kind of palace, it's more like a cave, a series of caves that's just like, it's just like, this is grimy, it's dirty, there's fire, there's just a maniacal villain lording over it all, played by KK Wong, who's a great villain, a villainous character. This one was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. And of course, I've done a review of it, so you can check that out. The commentary on this one by Frank Zheng is absolutely fantastic. So many great things in there. He actually interviewed KK Wong for this, but they didn't include it. They've now announced it's going to be, his interview is going to be on an upcoming Hong Kong release from them in October, I think. But Frank Zheng has a lot to say in the commentary about what KK Wong said about working on the film. And there's a lot of interesting stuff about how there was no production designer, and that KK Wong, who plays the villain, kind of did a lot of the art stuff himself, the calligraphy and stuff, even in the opening credits. It's a Troy Hark produced film directed by Ringo Lam. And yeah, there's some great action, really great action, but also kind of like a really dark kind of movie. And yeah, it's just great stuff. I really enjoyed Burning Paradise. And that's one I'm really eager to get back to, but it's just like, you know, the rewatches are so precious. This one is probably my favorite release of the year so far. Fell in love with these movies, was not really expecting to. It's Hopping Mad, the Mr. Vampire sequels. So we have Mr. Vampire 2, Mr. Vampire 3, Mr. Vampire 4, or Saga 4, and then Vampire vs. Vampire. Between 1986 and 1989, 4 sequels produced to the 1985 original, which I've yet to see, and I'm trying to track down with the slipcover, as some of you know, and it's impossible. It's hardly ever on eBay, and when it is, it goes for crazy money, like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds. These people are crazy. I want to get it with slipcover, don't get me wrong, but I'm going to have to let go of that dream of having the 2 nice slipcovered Mr. Vampire releases from Eureka. It's just not going to happen. Even with like a slipcover that's dinged up, they're selling for like 40, 50 quid, and I'm just like, what? Like, I just don't get it. Anyway, I can see why they may be popular because I love the movies, but at least I have this one, which is really nice and has 4 of these movies, 3 of them starring Lam Ching-ying as this Taoist priest who is very skilled in neutralizing and taking down hopping vampires. Who, like, there's a whole genre of the hopping vampire thing. I'm really proud of my reviews on this release. I did 5 videos. I think that altogether it's about 2.5 hours worth of review, you know, video, and, you know, clips in all of them. The kind of final one I did, just going over like my overall thoughts on all 4 films, and then also all the extras. I think it was like 50 minutes. It took me like a couple of weeks to edit it, but I'm really happy with it. I would implore you to check it out if you're interested in my thoughts on these films, because I put a lot into those videos, and this is just from the extras, commentaries in every film, deleted scenes on the sequel. I love Mr. Vampire 2. I thought it was fantastic, so funny. I was laughing so much. Great effects, great makeup. Mr. Vampire 3 has no vampires in it, but it's brilliant. Richard Ng is great in it. Lam Ching-ying is great in it. You know, just great villain in that one, played by Pauline Wong. Mr. Vampire Saga 4 is... absolutely loved that film. Is it Anthony Wong who stars in that one? I'm not sure if it is. And but Wu Ma is in Mr. Vampire 4, and he's brilliant. But I love all the actors in these films. Vampire vs. Vampire kind of let the side down a little bit. It's not a great film. Even the transfer is not that great on it. But the other 3 look phenomenal. There's great 2K restorations on those first 3 sequels. And they're brilliant films. There's great action. There's great I love the horror comedy feeling of it. And it's just... brilliant set from start to finish. I loved every second of going through this, from the extras to the films to the booklet, you know. And I love Lam Ching-ying. I've really become a fan of him, which is why I'm super stoked and excited to get to Magic Cop, which is basically an extension of the Mr. Vampire series. I know there were many films in which he played like the Taoist priest character. It kind of became typecast in it. He actually was even buried with his Taoist priest kind of style robes. But we're now at the end. There's one more to talk about. Not my favorite by a long stretch, but one I really enjoyed. We do actually have Lam Ching-ying as kind of a Taoist priest in this film. And this was the first time I saw Lam Ching-ying. And I thought, he's supposed to be an old man, but he definitely doesn't look it. He's got a lot of this old age makeup on. But this is a Sammo Hung horror comedy joint, The Dead and the Deadly. Well, I say Sammo Hung. Wu Ma directed this one, 1982. Sammo Hung plays the lead character in this, and Wu Ma is brilliant in it. And it's the plot of it is quite convoluted, but you basically have someone who's pretending to be dead so that he can, so that the people he's working with to kind of fool people can get hold of his like inheritance. But then he actually ends up getting killed for real. And then he comes back as a ghost, and now he wants Sammo Hung to let him use his body so he can get his revenge back on the people who were using him to begin. It's convoluted, but it's super fun. There's some cool fight scenes, but it's really more about the story. And I just thought it was super entertaining. It was a really entertaining film. I can't remember if we have we have an original poster there on the inside as well. And there's 2 commentaries in this one, which are really interesting. And there's like a really long Q&A with Sammo Hung, which wasn't as interesting as I would have hoped, because there's a lot of like waiting for translations and stuff, and his English isn't too great, but I love that they included it, and I thought this was super fun, and now I'm keen to check out my release. I have the encounters of the spooky kind in my collection. That was it. We're done. We're fucking hell. We're done with this. With this. Do you know what this means? We're done. Fuck. It felt like I was never going to get there when I thought, I'm going to do an update of all the stuff I bought over the past couple of years. I'm going to split it into 7 parts. And it took me, like 4 or 5 months to get around to doing all of them. And now I can finally start reorganizing my collection, because these have been around in different stacks, and I want to kind of have a Hong Kong section now. So I'm looking forward to setting that up, and kind of rejigging my Eureka collection and adding all the MOC titles back in. And I'm going to leave it there. I've waffled on for far too long. Hope you enjoyed if you check this out. Again, there are reviews for, if I just like pull the stack out here, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These 9 films all have in-depth reviews from me in the Blu-ray review series, if you want to check them out. There'll be more to come. And yeah, so I'm just really, I have to credit Eureka, really. And even people like Frank Jang and Mike Leader, Arne Venema, who do the commentaries, because I listen to them when I'm in work, and I kind of get a newfound kind of crash course. And it really is crash course in some of the names and some of the background of these films. And for that, I'm really grateful, because it's something I'm really into now, and I feel like I'm getting a lot of education within these releases and stuff. So certainly there's too much for me to go through everything, and even some of the movies I'm sure I'm not going to get around to for a long time, because it just is what it is. You only have so many hours in the day, and there's other things you want to watch as well, not just Hong Kong movies. So, but as a fan of this stuff now, it's a cool time to be me as a movie watcher, because it's just exciting. I love when I get excited about stuff, and I have a lot of things in that area. And as I said, going back to the beginning, I don't really think of Jackie Chan anymore when I think about Hong Kong films, even though he was a vital part of it, even though he was arguably the biggest. I mean, you could probably, I don't know, he's not, I was going to say you could say he's a bigger name than Bruce Lee. He isn't, which is interesting. And I do think that the tragic young death of Bruce Lee is what adds to his mythological status. But, Jackie Chan, more prolific than Bruce Lee, and has become a worldwide star and has so many great movies. So you could say Jackie Chan is maybe the most prolific Hong Kong star. You can make an argument for Chow Yun-fat, crossing over a little bit there, but I do think that Jackie Chan probably can lay claim to that. But when I watch these movies now, I'm not even thinking about Jackie Chan. I'm thinking about Wu Ma, or Lam Ching Ying, or all these different actors who I really like, and even Choi Hak, who's more of a director than he is an actor. So I'm seeing all these people pop up. Oh, it's that person. Oh, it's that person. And even directors and like the styles that I like, and the kind of horror comedy stuff, the girls with guns stuff, the straight action stuff, the wuxia things that are kind of popping up. So all sorts of exciting stuff. And I can't wait to talk more about it in future videos. I know some people have been ragging on Eureka for releasing too many of these Hong Kong films. I've done a video about that, talking about that, and I implore you to check that one out, because I think I gave a very well-reasoned defense of that criticism that they released too many Hong Kong movies. And so I'd nudge you to check that one out, because I think I did a pretty good job expressing my thoughts on that one in a nice way. And people have told me privately that they don't watch my videos that much anymore, because a lot of it is Hong Kong stuff that they're not interested in. I appreciate that, and I appreciate anyone who sticks around despite that. Obviously, at this point of this video, the only people watching are probably people who are interested in it, or just are like hardcore viewers of my videos, in which case, fair enough, but also go watch some other stuff. I feel bad for taking up too much of people's time. Anyway, that is it for now. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will inevitably see you in the next one.